Hi everyone, welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. How are you guys doing? Happy Friday. I'm exhausted, guys, so tired. I am so glad it's Friday. So how did your week go? Did everybody have a good week? And I hope these messages are helping you and encouraging you. I know things right now feel so um, weird because of everything that's going on in this world today. But don't lose hope. Remember the key factors to keep persevering, because you matter just as much as the next person. And don't let anybody else tell you anything different. So, guys, before we get into this topic of discussion, it's just been a crazy, crazy day. So I'm trying to do things a little different, a little better. It's not because I work a lot and have other stuff going on. I trying not to eat processed food as much because I'm trying to cook. So what I did is came in tonight and I made something different. I can cook certain meals, but certain things I have to look up for a recipe. Like I made macaroni and cheese from scratch. My mother taught me how to do that. I can make some other stuff that she taught. But the meatloaf was the issue. So I looked at this recipe and I brought all of the ingredients for it. And because it was a lot of it, anyway, it had to cook for a while. So I'm going to, after I do this video, see how this tastes and if it came out really good, and I'll let you guys know on the video on Monday. So I spent time doing that, and so we'll see. I because I don't want to eat processed food every day, and with the meatloaf that I brought, it should last for the next 3 days. So macaroni and cheese, broccoli, meatloaf, like that, and just try to eat a little better and different. So, trying new things, guys. That's new for me because I never made meatloaf. But anyway, tell me in a comment category what type of things you put in your meatloaf. So anyway, guys, moving on to this topic of discussion. Remember, I'm not a therapist, a social worker, or a counselor. I'm just somebody who talks from my personal experience of everything that happens to me. And these things can take a wear and tear on your mental and physical health. Speaking of that, like by the end of the week, I'm so tired that I look forward to the weekend so I can rest. Sometimes it's good to just go into a place of just time for yourself so that you can regroup. It's like a computer programming, and then everything upload, etc. That's the way it is with our mental and physical health. We always need a break, need time to ourselves, and vacations and things like that. It's important because we can wear ourselves out. So I'm learning little by little, taking steps to do that. The topic of discussion today is the hate is real. The hate is real in this world today, guys. It's just getting intense on a daily, weekly basis. And I try not to watch a lot of the news. I've heard something that happened that was really disturbing this week, and it's just, I'll take in 10 minutes of it, and then I have to get away from it. But what I'm noticing is that there are a lot of people out there who need to heal, because many of these folks have a broken mindset and a broken way of thinking and a broken way of conducting themselves, and they need to really learn how to heal from within so that they can heal from within, grow, heal, and evolve. Otherwise they're going to stay in this energy, and the disrespect, the hate in your face, all the stuff that's going on today, it's real. It's people are just out of control with it. And sometimes it's so out of control that you really have to um, take a step back, and not just take a step back, but to take a step back and think, so that you don't go to a point of acting out of character because of how somebody else is, you know, being. What I try to do is just stay in prayer and stay away from the toxicity, guys. I keep talking about that because there's so much of it. You know, things that I see out there belongs on TV. It doesn't belong in the real world. And people are just, you know, the disrespect, the if you don't like someone, you don't have a right to disrespect that person, spread lies, you know, try to destroy their life because you don't like it. What I notice is that there's a lot of miserable people in this world. And what happens with them, it's like the metaphor that I always use of, you know, crabs in a barrel. All the crabs are happy as long as all of them are down at the bottom of the barrel. But as soon as one crab starts crawling up to the top and actually makes it to the top, then a whole bunch of the crabs at the barrel, at the bottom of the barrel, will pull that one crab back down with them. No, buddy, you belong down here with us. And it seems like people don't like to see others at peace or happy. They don't like to see you doing well. They feel better when you're sick, broken down, busted, and disgusted. And that's what I've been learning and seeing so far in this world today that we live in. People love if you're sick and you're broken down, you can barely do for yourself, all this kind of stuff, which, you know, this is not how things should be. You know, but when you're okay and you're doing well and you want to help others, some people feel some kind of way about that. And if you don't like someone, you don't like the work that they're doing, you don't like the positive changes in their life, leave them alone. Stay away from them. You know, you don't get the right to harass them and try to force them, you know, to be toxic. Like I said, I did a lot of work on myself. I'm not perfect, but I still, you know, need improvement. But one thing I've learned through this whole journey called life and these trials and tribulations and things and challenges is to never give up on myself. Because, guys, if you lose hope and get into a place of despair, especially with everything that's going on today, then you can't heal, you can't grow, and you can't evolve. And more importantly, your mental and physical health is affected and will deteriorate because of the stress and because of all the toxicity that's going on. And that's why I only allow myself to take in 10 minutes of it, you know, and then I disconnect, put on some music like I have now. You know, pamper yourself, take care of yourself, guys. You know, make sure you love you. A lot of women I hear today, they're talking about love and blah, blah, this and that, and this one don't love them. Love on you, you know, because how do you expect somebody else to give you love if you don't love yourself or respect yourself? You know, and, you know, don't allow people to treat you with disrespect and to, you know, treat you any kind of way. You know, in this world today, sometimes you have to show people how to treat you. But I have a problem with that because if they don't already know how to treat me, that's already a problem. You know, respect, you know, give unto others what you want done to you. You know, it's easy. But to some folks, it's not because they're so toxic and set in their ways that they don't see it any other way. You know, what I've learned so far in this journey to heal is that a lot of things that came my way that kept repeating itself over and over were lessons, unlearned lessons. And when I didn't learn them, the lesson would come back again, different person, different scenario, but the same lesson. But the second and third and fourth time, it's worse and worse and worse. And so, you know, I had to sit down and stay in prayer with God, asking God to help me because this is too much, you know. And little by little, as I started to take the steps to turn situations around, God was doing a work in the background on my behalf, as I took these steps. And it was scary, guys. It can be scary, especially when you don't have anybody in the background cheering you on and say, come on, Lisa, you can do this. I had to crawl through the dirt, persevere through all of it. And then on top of going through all of this, letting go of people, which was not easy, but it was for my peace of mind and my mental health. And then these people were angry about it and would just, add to my pain of grief and everything else I was going through with lies, malicious lies, that they would get a whole group of individuals to believe these way out crazy, vicious lies of things that never happened, that I never did. And I had to disconnect from it all. And it was very, very difficult to do because some of these people I knew a long time. And then when people that you trust do the utmost and the worst, it's shocking. Well, it was for me in the beginning. It was very shocking and very hurtful. Hurt me to my very core. But I learned the lesson so that I didn't have to repeat it. And when I, closed those doors, first I set those boundaries. And they were just disregarding the boundaries like it didn't mean anything. Then I had to close the doors and they thought I was playing, and I had to cut off, block, and delete. But I'm going to tell you something, guys. My silence with all of it, no matter what they're saying, how they're doing it this way or that way, my silence is no joke. There is power in being silent when somebody is hating on you and you haven't done anything but disconnected yourself from the hate. And people don't like the fact that you disconnect. So what they end up doing is just getting a whole bunch of other people on board to hate you, and without a justifiable cause. You haven't done anything but be yourself. But they don't want you to be yourself. They want you to be a crab in a barrel at the bottom with them instead of growing, healing, and evolving. And so as I disconnected, I had to stay in prayer. And what I do also that's important, paying tithes. And guys, you can pay tithes to any church, whether you go to it or not, any nearby church, and show God that, that you trust him, and that, take steps on your behalf. Like I made vows, I keep those vows, and I also do fasting. And I talked about it a little bit yesterday. That helps to cleanse the mental and physical, like just being in prayer with God, not eating a whole bunch of junk and stuff for those 3 days, eating vegetables, like I said, yogurt, light stuff, having a lot of water, having tea. I have tea anyway. And just, sitting and talking with God about some serious things and asking him to help, because this is not easy, guys. It's very hard at times. And the reason why at times it feels so hard, because it's like the people that I thought I knew and I grew up with and had this kind of connection with, and boom, as I started to do better, he'll grow and help other people. And some people didn't like the change that they saw in me, but it was a positive change for the better. I've learned how to be self-disciplined. And through all of this that I've gone through, I learned to trust God instead of putting my trust into other people. And I learned to not overgive. I'm still generous. I'll give, I'll help, but I'm not going to overgive, and I'm not going to neglect myself just for somebody else. Everything with me now is an equal give and take. Even if it's a relationship, they got to be putting something into the plate and not taking everything out. It's just so, it took me a long time to get to this point. And I'm not going to regress because somebody don't like what, if, and whatever. And with all this hate and stuff that's in this world today, and people are doing things that are so horrific, diabolical, and hateful, all that energy that they're putting into that, which is not going to lead to anything good, if they flip the script and put all of that energy into building themselves up, just imagine what kind of person they can be after they do the work to heal. If they took all that hate and all that energy that they put into that hate and put it into themselves to make themselves better physically and mentally, they would be some type of person. They would be an amazing person. And it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of courage and a lot of persevering. And most importantly, guys, besides that, it takes loving yourself. When you love yourself, you're not going to settle for any old thing, because you know what is for your highest good and what's not for your highest good. So why would you do all this work to heal and feel better and do better to regress to somebody who put you in so much pain that you were broke, you felt like you couldn't go on? Why would you go back to people who put you in that situation, no matter whether it was a personal connection or family or a friend or whatever it was? Why would you go back to something that almost broke you? So what I do is close those doors, stay in prayer with God, move forward, because as I do the work, He's opening up new doors, better situations. One day at a time, guys, one step at a time. This is my experience. And sometimes, it would be lonely, but with God, He always bring about something, as I start closing doors, as I start doing the work. And one of the things that I talk about, I made a vow, is to help other people on this channel, and not on this channel only, but just, other vows that I made. And I keep those vows. I don't play with God. It's very important to me. And anybody who wants to stop somebody who made vows to God, and they are fulfilling those vows, that's very dangerous. If you don't like a person, you don't like what they're doing or whatever, your choice in a matter is to stay away from them, not to try to abuse them or to distract them or stop them on their path, because that person will be praying and staying in prayer, and God does the rest. That's the way I'm going to leave that, because everybody has a right to take care of themselves, to build themselves up, and not to stay in a place of brokenness, because there's no growth there, and if a person loses hope and in a place of despair, it's very dangerous if they stay there too long. So it's always important to do the work on yourself, one day at a time, one step at a time. And I know it's not easy, but as you persevere through it, you will see the changes that you need to see. But it may not be overnight, but I promise you, you will see these changes. It took me a long time to get here, folks. This wasn't easy at all. I've lost a lot of people out of my life, had a lot of pain, grief, through not just losing people who walked away, but through death, losing people, finding out all these people who I loved and they loved me are no longer here. And so unexpectedly. So live your life to the fullest, guys. Don't ever sit down and be 90 years old and regret that you didn't do A, B, C, and D. Live your life to the fullest, and don't let people put you in a corner and tell you you can't do this, you can't do that. Life is to be lived, because you don't get a second, third chance to do this again. So take care of yourself, and set boundaries with others who want to bring toxicity to your life. And you can move forward, open up new doors with people who are going to treat you the way you deserve to be treated, one day at a time. And as you love on yourself, you do better, you feel better. You start the self-care. You start to look at life and situations in a different perspective instead of with a broken mindset. Then you close these doors over here. I know I had to close some, and then God opened up new doors with better situations, better people who know how to treat me and treat me with respect, etc., and so forth. One day at a time, guys. Never feel guilty about healing, and never allow anybody to interfere with your healing and growth or to tell you what you deserve. Love yourself. Ask God to help you keep moving forward and set those strong boundaries so that you can stay in a place of healing growth instead of broken down into pieces. That's the message today, guys. On a daily basis, take time out for yourself. 2 hours a day just to do what you like, and that helps your mental and physical health and growth as well. Thank you again for being here today, guys. Thank you for also, knowing that I can't give a time right now as to when I can show up. But in the future, some things are going to change for the better so that I'll be making some more positive changes. So subscribe to the channel, invite others here, and I'll see you guys sometime on Monday. Enjoy your evening and enjoy your weekend. This is Lisa shedding love and light, and I'll see you Monday, guys. Bye for now.